It is time to take my vitamins. So again, this is a Persona Nutrition. I have to tell you guys about these little packs though. But and it had like smiley faces on it because I was a kid. And I liked that one because I looked at my stepmom and I was like, oh, I'll get in trouble if I make a fuss. So they almost didn't X-ray me. It was like, nah, a kid would be screaming and would be putting a sad face. But they did it just in case, and they're like, your kid is a tank. So like these are the situations I ended up in. When I finally got a diagnosis, an explanation, I was like, no amount of therapy would have changed the way I behaved. It wasn't my fault. This is proof that it's involuntary. Because there were times where I was just like, so, I don't know, mad at myself. I was like, why do I do all these awful things? And it was really liberating.
Do you proudly tell people that you have Tourette's, or is that something that you hope would remain more of a secret?
I used to be shy about it, so I just kind of let it sit there and awkwardly, like when somebody has like food on their face and not tell them. I was that guy. And then I slowly became the person who I try to tell you as soon as I meet you that I have it, just so it's out of the way and we can move on.
Have you ever been bullied for having Tourette syndrome?
It all started when I was 13. I begged my mom to go to school. I was home educated most of the time. So I went to school finally, and I got really badly bullied. And the last day that I was there, 4 guys, I was 13, they were about 16 or 17, I think, and they beat me into unconsciousness. I woke up in
Oh my god.
It's
fucking horrible.
Were those kids that bullied you specifically bullying you because you had Tourette's or because you stood out in some way, or what do you think it was?
I think part of it was that I seemed like an antagonist. I would pinch the back of people's arms, or I'd say offensive things.
That was something. Okay, let me pause this real quick
The worst part is that the more of a connection.
This is something that relates to me. I unintentionally might have said things that offended people, might have reacted, bumped into people by accident, but without like really knowing it. May have done it unintentionally, but intentionally had done it because it was just my body reacting. But I would always apologize, and I thought it was okay. So one day I'm walking, and we were in the middle of a class exchange. This was middle school, and I was walking through the hallway. There was hundreds of kids just walking past me, everybody hustling to get to their class, some talking amongst friends, others going to their lockers, some are going to the bathroom. And here I am walking, and I just felt a sharp hit to the back of my neck, and I went down. And this was in middle school. I blacked out. And when I came to, there was nobody in the hallway. There was just dead. I didn't know how long I was knocked out for, but when I came to, I went and picked myself up, got my book bag up, went straight to class, and my teacher just reprimanded the shit out of me. You're super late. There's no excuse. I was like, somebody hit me. I was passed out in the hallway. Nobody even noticed. And you're a liar. Sit your ass down. Anything to say to get out of getting in trouble. I was like, what? It was fucking horrible. But yeah, shit like that would happen all the time, especially in middle school, elementary school. I mean, especially in elementary school, I got my ass handed to me almost on a daily basis. There were kids just like literally looking for me, and I would be running around hiding, around corners trying to avoid them because it was like, there were just some real kids that were nasty, and I guess, just reacted to something that I did. I don't even remember what it was that I must have done or said to them that caused them to get like that. But it was horrifying. It was literally being hunted down every single day when you would go into school and when you would get out of school. Got my ass beaten as soon as I got to school, sometimes in the bus on the way to school, and then my ass beaten outside of school in front of teachers, administrators, in front of other students, and nobody would fucking do a goddamn thing about it. They would just watch me getting my ass handed to me, my face being pushed into the fucking dirt, them stepping on me, kicking my head. I mean, all kinds of fucked up, nasty shit, and nobody gave a goddamn about this little Hispanic girl that was there, you know. So it was fucking shit. It was a shit show. It was hell on earth. You know, growing up, dealing with having, you know, tics and ADHD, you know, being hyper, having, you know, ranting thoughts to where you're not even focusing on what the fuck it is that you're saying or you're doing, you know, now realizing that you know, you might be displaying narcissistic behavior, but it's really just, you know, you not being able to pay attention long enough to focus on other people's feelings and shit, you know, like there's so many different things that are just so wrong. You know, with my personal behavior, but you know, back in the days, they didn't understand any of that. It was just, you know, you were disruptive, you were attention seeking, you were a troublemaker. You know, let me think of all the other words that they used to call me, because it was just like there was never, oh, she's just, you know, overly creative, or no, it was never anything like that. Oh, she's just attention seeking, she's troublemaking, you know, there's she's not doing, you know, anything to try to help her education. It was like I couldn't focus. There was so much fucking shit going on. I had sensory issues my entire goddamn life. So every time I went into a room, there was all this noise and all these people talking and kids screaming and kids shouting, you know, laughing. And it was just so much distraction. There was no way to be able to focus because all my senses were super freaking heightened. So yeah, I was a troublemaker, you know, but at no point did I ever feel like, you know, damn, I deserve a good ass whooping and a beating to the point where I'm blacked out on the fucking floor in the middle of my school and nobody even gave a goddamn to fucking pick me up or to check to see if I was okay, you know? I don't even know how long I was passed out for, but that's how crazy shit is. Getting back to her, Sweet Anita and what she's telling, you know, talking about in her story. But I just wanted to pause my little quick story time of what happened to me when I was a young kid attending school.
I have with someone, or the closer the friendship, the more likely it is to happen and the more frequently it happens. So, unfortunately, the hitting and slapping and all sorts. So, I guess I ended up inadvertently picking fights and I was misbehaving and it was really difficult to explain myself because I was like, I'm sorry, I don't know why I just did that.
How difficult is it to explain Tourette's to someone who doesn't have any idea what it is?
They would always ask
It can be difficult only because of the media portrayals where people think that Tourette syndrome is simply just cursing, which is coprolalia.
Yeah.
So it can be difficult for people to comprehend that I can't control the movements or the sounds. But once you kind of get into the biological reasons, it becomes easier for them, an easier concept for them to grasp.
People don't understand Tourette syndrome. People take clips of me saying things that are as tics, and say, look at this terrible person who's, you know, shouting to kids all these racial slurs and being paid to do so. And I was the center of a huge controversy recently because I said the N-word and people got furious and I had to address it on YouTube.
I have a challenge for all of you. Go to every computer in your house, your mom's,
Another quick story time while there's a commercial. Okay, so because I was always considered a troubled child and a very hard to control, I was basically pushed from school to school to school, and my mom, you know, found any school that would take me, and I would just bounce around from school to school to school. Every time that they found a problem with me, anytime I caused a disruption, they kicked me out. My mom would find me another school. Well, it got to the point where there were no more schools to put me in because I ran out of options. And so my last option was like opportunity schools. My opportunity school was like Jam Man Opportunity School. I ended up going there and I ended up graduating in another school, which was at Carroll City, but it was SED. So it stood for Severely Emotionally Disturbed Students. That's where I graduated. But before that, I had, you know, I went to this middle school, which was, you know, Jam Man Opportunity School. And basically there, I, you know, um, I was there with nothing but boys. There were no girls in that school, like not one. So when I say that I went there as the only female of a almost 100% populated boy school, um, just because it was an opportunity school and this is just where they sent really bad kids to school. Um, I had to have like this toughest exterior. I had to make sure that as hard as they attacked on me, I had to be as quick to attack back. And at that point, it was already middle school, and I was getting into like weightlifting and you know um, you know doing a lot of exercises and physical activities with other students in order to kind of build up strength and muscle. And because of this, over a period of time, because of the things that I did, the things that I said, how I behaved, my actions, I was actually referred to by every single male student there as, yo, my nigga, you my nigga. All right. They would approach me and call me that. I wasn't, oh, hey, what's up, girl? No. Yo, my nigga, you my homie, you my dude. Oh my God, you my nigga, man. Oh, I love you, bro. You always say, yeah, man. You down, you down. You my man, you my homies. And it's like, that's how I got treated. I was never treated like a girl. I was treated like a dude. And it was because I had to behave like a dude in order to protect myself from getting possibly raped, attacked, beaten, brutalized in an all male school. So I did what I had to do to protect my fucking self. So every once in a while, when it comes out, and it comes out regularly, my speech, because it's been like that my whole fucking life. Don't nobody judge me on this shit. But yeah, I say my nigga all the fucking time because of the fact it's literally embedded in my speech due to the fact that I have echolalia and I had that word repeated at me for years while I was attending this school. So if it comes out, sue me because I can't fucking help it. It is literally a part of my speech. Just like fuck, bitch, asshole, cunt. I can't help it. I really can't. So, just to let you know, if you ever hear me saying it, don't take it to offense. Why should you? It was something I was being called for fucking years. So, you know what? Take it how you will. But I'm going according to how I was raised and what was around me. And I can't help if I repeat things that were told to me over and over and over again for years. So, there you go. Let's play
Your
this.
dad, your sister, your brother's computer, and install Honey. Wait, Mom, before you check out, do you have Honey installed?
What's honey?
Oh, no. It's a...
It sounds like people were taunting you and trying to get you to say these words that you didn't want to say in order to create this witch hunt on you.
A lot of people don't realize that you can trigger tics, and that I didn't have an N-word tic until I started streaming. For the first year, I still didn't have an N-word tic. People were like, why doesn't she have the N-word tic? Convenient how none of her tics could get her banned. That proves it's fake, all this sort of stuff. So people were assuming that I was a fake because I didn't have tics that would get me banned.
And then they try to ban you when the tick comes out.
Yep, and they
You just can't win.
No.
Why do you think it's so difficult for some people to understand Tourette's?
Because they don't have it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest thing. If you don't have something, it's really difficult for you to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and really understand the full experience. Like if I say I twitch, you go, okay, he twitches, but you don't really see my entire day
Yeah.
of running into this person and I have to tell them, or going through this, or driving and I'm twitching, or any small things.
Do you find yourself trying to control your tics often?
Not anymore, because I kind of feel like if you have anxiety about it and you don't want it to happen, it happens more. The more something becomes an intrusive thought that you don't want to say or do, the more likely you are to do it. So if I try to manage it, I'm only fixating myself in the mentality that this is a scary bad thing. The more I do that, the more it ticks. So it kind of backfires.
How might your day-to-day life be different than someone who doesn't have Tourette syndrome?
I've gone to clean the toilet and chucked my phone in it. Everything is a disaster. I throw drinks on the floor, and it's more annoying when I'm in a coffee shop and they just hand me the coffee and I just go, thanks, and pour it on the ground and make eye contact and go, bitch.
My God.
I'm not
How do
sorry.
they react to that?
I live in a small town. So every single shop and coffee shop and everything that I go to, they all know me. Even the post people know about me. So nobody's surprised. And usually they just chuckle. Post delivery men will warn me to each other about me. Because I will smack things out of their hands. And if they bend over, I will spank them.
That's a pretty amazing, like, 1-2 punch there, though.
Here's a little quandary for you, because people ask this and they're like, right?
Yeah.
So if someone knows that I have a spanking tic, and they bend over really slowly in front of me and force me to touch their ass against my will, who's been sexually assaulted there?
So because you have Tourette's, this could mean that you were sexually harassed into doing the action.
Yes, I'm both the perpetrator and the victim.
How do you consider it?
I kind of think it's terrible to hijack someone's neurological disorder in order to force them into sexual contact. That's bad.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate it from strangers. Wipe your f***ing ass!
Wipe
So
your
I just
fucking
don't-
ass!
so
Woof. I do have a
prefer it.
spanking tick too.
And, you know, you should always check with people's boundaries when it comes to tics.
Right. So just ask for an ass slapping if that's really what you want.
Yes.
Have your tics ever interfered with any serious situations?
I went to court,
Whoa.
and they have like a little thing that scans you for weapons and stuff. And
I have a bomb.
I went through it. They scanned me with like this little stick that checks for metal things, and I just locked eyes with the lady doing this to me and went,
I have a bomb.
right?
I have a bomb.
No.
This guy.
Here's the problem. Vitamins are confusing. And I didn't have the time or the energy to figure out what I needed to take. I mean, trust me, I know.
Guy, this head of security, bustles out. He's like, "That's my cue," and he's like, "You can't even joke about that. Do you understand me?" And I was like, "I have Tourette's. I'm really sorry." And he was like, okay, well, it's still not okay because, you know, terrorism and stuff." And he didn't let me finish the sentence because if you tell me not to do something, I'm going to do it more. So that was a very interesting day at court.
What's the most awkward or
I have a
worst
bomb.
time tic that you've ever had?
I was at the roulette table. There was like 8 people around the table.
Yeah.
And the guys putting the ball on the wheel, we're all putting our chips out there. And I take a sip of my beer, and I had this new tic where it's like it's like a throat clearing, and my chest like pops like that. And not just the beer that I sipped, like the casino's beer. All of it came out of my mouth. And
Straight there onto the table?
No, everybody like sprayed the it sprayed the casino I was in, it sprayed it looked like the Bellagio fountains coming out of my mouth came
they're
from.
just wet all of a sudden.
Yeah, everyone's I don't know why I thought I was gonna play it off as a joke to look stupid, and I just started like looking up. like
people are gonna laugh at that and be like, "There's Samuel."
yeah, look at him looking for sprinklers. We know it's your mouth. The dealer was like, "Hey man, what the heck?" He was drenched. Like drenched.
Yikes.
I literally took a small sip of beer. I don't know where this came from. And he was looking at me, he was like, "What the heck?" And I was like, "Oh, I have Tourette's, I'm sorry." And he was like, "You don't look like a guy that has Tourette's." And
What
I was
does that
like,
mean?
"Yeah, that's what I said." I was like, "What do I look like?" And he was like, "You look like a guy who just lost and spit on me." Yeah.
Before we learn more about the wondrous world of living with Tourette syndrome, I want to take a quick moment to say I'm sure you noticed by now, based off my wonderful hair transformation that you've been seeing throughout this entire video, I was partway through recording these interviews when the current global crisis struck,
Thank you.
and I'm sitting down now with Anita remotely. She planned to be on the show here in person, but the week before her flight out, all flights started being canceled, lockdowns started occurring, and a flight across the pond was just simply no longer an option. So with that said, thank you all so much for supporting this series through all of this and adjusting to the remote interviews until it's safe to start sitting down here with people in person once again. I miss interviewing people in person so much, but you know what? Nothing is gonna stop me, okay? We're gonna do this no matter what. The show must go on. And of course, thank you to the guests in this video and this entire series and all the communities attached for trusting me and covering topics like this one. That's all I wanted to say. Now back to learning about the wondrous world of living with Tourette syndrome. Do you consider Tourette's to be a hindrance?
When I was younger, yeah, for sure. I thought it held me back from a lot of things. I blamed it for a lot of things. I used it as an excuse. Like I said, now it's a blessing.
Do you feel like people ever underestimate you when they find out you have Tourette's?
When I became a goalkeeper for soccer, obviously they're shooting balls at me, and I can't let that in. Like, I gotta be paying attention. But people have questioned whether or not I would be capable of focusing and playing that position. But I proved them wrong.
In life in general, yeah. If I'm gonna do something and you know that I have Tourette's, a lot of people will say you can't do that, even with anything. In the entertainment industry, I wanted to act. Or be in a TV show or something like that. I thought it would be a cool experience and fun. And a lot of people were like, you can't, you have Tourette's, you'll be typecast, this and this. And then I got on TV and I was like, screw you. But then they were like, you're playing a guy with Tourette's. And I was like, you were right. You were right the whole time.
Is there anything that having Tourette's has prevented you from doing that you really wish you could have done?
This cool guy paid for me to go and do driver's lessons. He decided to help me out and be my instructor. I'm so glad he was in the car because he pulled the brakes so many times. I had intrusive thoughts about veering off the track and things like that, and obviously it became a tic, and I was basically wobbling the steering wheel, accelerating towards the walls. Like, there were some brave people who decided to come with me, who were just fans of the stream, wanted to hang out. So I had 3 other people in this vehicle, and I just turned to them all and go, "Do you like crashes?" And they're all themselves, like, immediately.
So it's not necessarily a matter of being curious of what that would be like or what that would feel like. It's just your brain kind of makes you want to fulfill that urge.
Yeah, and sometimes the urge is so flash fast that I don't even see it coming.
So you can't even think about the dangers of what that might mean.
Yeah, I live on the coast. I hang out with my friends on the beach all the time. If we go to cliffs, I'm like, you have to stay out of arm's reach of me, or I could push you off. And I'd be devastated, so don't. And that's the level to which I have to be careful. And it's devastating how dangerous it can be.
Does Tourette's make it difficult to land and maintain a job?
No one wanted to employ someone like me, and for most of my life, I didn't have an explanation for my behavior. So I just seemed weird. So there was no work.
I just got fired a lot.
unemployed for most of my life until I figured out how to make money, and it was a really hard, long journey to get to the point where I was self-sufficient doing that. I did streaming as a hobby, and that became my job, and that's all I've ever been able to do as a result of my condition.
How do you feel about people being judgmental towards people with Tourette's?
You have to understand that most of those people with Tourette's or disabilities, they're getting picked on by everybody.
Right.
Non-stop.
Yeah, do you really want to contribute?
Right. Be the difference maker.
I do not care. If people are judgmental, it's not because I'm flawed. I didn't choose this. I'm not defined by the things I didn't choose about myself. I'm defined by how I choose to handle my challenges.
Onyx Litton wants to know what your most painful or annoying tic has been.
I had one where I'd like close my eyes really, really tight and open them up, and it started to blur my vision. So that was one that like genuinely had an impact on my life.
Yeah. And it could have been rough if you were driving or something.
Yeah. Thank God I was only 6.
Yeah.
I was in one of those cars where you walk it around, but still running into walls.
When I've had a concussion in the past, constantly moving my head like that.
Your brain was like this.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I was like, what are you doing? Like, chill out.
I've punched my chin so much that it's one side of it sticks out further, the other side is higher up. I've just hit it so much. I've hit myself in the face so many times.
Cat Girl wants to know if it's difficult for you to fall asleep.
It was tough earlier in my life when I was younger because I twitched so much more and I was so focused on it.
Yeah.
Now it's not difficult at all. I fall asleep like a regular living human.
If I'm having a really high stress, high tic day, sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Sometimes I'll continuously move my head back and forth and try to get that urge in my neck to finally be settled, but other than that, I don't really have any issues with it.
On my stream, we call my tics Terrence. So Terrence falls asleep a good hour before I do usually. Like, my tics die down the more tired I get. He takes about an hour to wake up after me as well.
Mine's don't.
So, like,
They're actually quite active
it's
when
all
I'm trying to go to
neurochemically
sleep.
based. Tourette syndrome is associated with an overproduction of dopamine and serotonin in the brain, and your neurochemistry definitely changes very distinctly as your body's winding down for sleep.
Has having Tourette's ever affected any of your relationships?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I've ticked in the bedroom.
I never thought about specifically sex. I never thought about that.
Really? Because what's interesting about that is it's the most common question I get on the street.
Really? They're like, do you have tics while you're...
And my answer is only if they're in bed, because...
Okay, I have to pause to interject on this one. Sex and tics. For me, personally, I find...
Honey is a free online shopping tool.
Sorry. I find that my tics actually become more active the more that I enjoy it. My tics are kind of the reverse of what Sweet Anita's is whoa! They start to actually get really, really active. The more I get into it, the more it's enjoyable, the more pleasure that I'm feeling. That's when I can't control the noises, the sounds. Sometimes I even pop when it's happening, but that's basically what's what's happening, during sex. It's like my mind is associating all these joys and pleasures, and it's just causing my Tourette's to go off. So yeah, for me it's the complete opposite. The more enjoyable it is, the more my tics happen. So let's continue.
That gives you savings on your favorite websites and items. You can save money when you order.
That's when my mind starts to wander, and it all comes back. So, like...